Fighting the Frizzies at 11.
Welcome back to the very special Star Wars Minute, Star Wars Holiday Special, the live podcast in which we analyze, criticize, and scrutinize the Star Wars Holiday Special. I'm Alex Robinson from the Ink Panthers podcast.
And I'm Pete the Retailer from Nerd Geek Dork.
Everyone gets applause.
I'm Josh Flanagan from myfanboy.com.
I'm Rachael Fox from New Jersey. Represent.
And when we last left our heroes, Lumpy, the lovable Wookie, was watching a cartoon about Boba Fett, the lovable bounty hunter. And yes, the Imperial officer is like, "What are you watching there?" And Lumpy's like, "Nah."
And luckily, it's just a game, not a cartoon. He switches it to something else.
That's
and the
right,
officer
yeah.
comes over and he's like, "Oh, good, it's just a game, not a cartoon."
Because presumably he'd be very angry if he saw he was watching. So what's the deal with this cartoon? Like, who made it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's supposed to be real life.
It's how they do news
Is that
a long time ago and far, far away. It was not efficient, so they stopped eventually.
Dateline the Pana system.
So what's going on with Han's face?
It's long.
Yeah,
Love it.
Why the long face, huh?
Is he an alien? Did we not know that about him?
I guess maybe they were just they didn't have a good picture of Harrison Ford. I don't know if he was.
Michael Bay. It does look kind of David Duchovny-esque.
He does
but
look Duchovny-ish.
I love it. I love the way it moves. I think it's great.
Yeah.
The animation is definitely, it's cool. It's very fluid. It's very kind of stylized. It's what makes this the kind of cool part. There's a close-up of Luke.
I really like all their blown-out, dilated eyes to the whole thing.
He is
Just
so
because
surprised.
it's so drugged out and whacked out already, it just adds to the...
What?
So you're saying this really happened?
Sure.
I mean, in the Star Wars universe, is this a record of something that happened, or did someone approach the Rebels and be like, "Hey, can we make a cartoon about your fictional adventures?" And
I like how I have to choose this right now,
You do,
and I
you
don't
have
know
to.
what the best choice is because...
Clock is ticking.
Yes.
Yeah, this happened.
Okay.
That makes
Why
sense.
else would it be there as part of the narrative? Otherwise, they're just wasting our time.
And that's why Lumpy is so concerned. Because it's like, oh wait, maybe that's why they're not here, because they got stuck on a jelly planet.
And we had to wait for all these guys in Korea to draw it
Right.
and put it together and send it over here.
Plus, there's Boba Fett. And so that's the introduction to Boba Fett, which is why I'm assuming everyone was so excited with the Boba Fett action figure.
That was one of the reasons. That and the rocket that fired out of its backpack.
Yeah, but this is the
and choked
first
its
time
children.
there's a character to pin that to, and so of course everyone's going to be all about it because it's Boba Fett and he's awesome.
So you think when we see Boba Fett in Empire, this is after this whole tricked them into thinking he was their friend and so on.
Yeah.
So if Luke in Empire had seen Boba Fett for more than just a quick second, he would have been like, "That's the guy that's my former friend."
That's a dinosaur guy friend.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why it makes sense in Jedi for him to be like Boba Fett. Where? Because they know who he is. They've actually had an adventure with him. They were stuck upside down for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe his mask was a different color and he didn't recognize him.
Right. It's that pale blue rather
He's
than
not.
that kind of green.
Luke is not real detail oriented. It's not that guy's not a dinosaur. We're fine.
So do we have more cartoon?
Boba Fett is discovered, and instead of kind of killing everybody, which you think would be a good way to resolve the situation.
Since two of them are already tied up.
Yeah, like everybody's there, and they're like, oh no wait, Boba Fett works with Darth Vader, and then they turn around, they're like, oh, really? And he just runs away. He activates his jetpack, flies off.
He can't commit.
No,
That is
I
a
think
good
he
shot.
definitely had the upper hand there. They weren't expecting that at all.
The upper hand.
Yes. But then everybody has a good chuckle about it, and there's a sitcom laugh frame. Because Boba Fett just didn't smell right, according to Chewbacca.
And it's all's well that ends well.
Yeah.
In the animated cartoon. So this probably cheered up Lumpy a bit, right?
Yeah, well, he got happy that he was happy to see that his dad survived the cartoon. But then the Imperial, space Nazis are still doing their thing. One of them goes to search Lumpy's room and finds his stuffed bantha toy and rips the head off his stuffed bantha toy.
Wow.
Did they make those?
No, they
'Cause
totally should have.
I want one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Which I think maybe, if they were planning, like we said, there were a lot of kind of merchandising ideas that all got shelved when they thought this was going to be huge. Maybe the stuffed bantha would have been a Star Wars Holiday Special tie-in that we missed
Definitely.
out on.
I felt like bags of heroin were going to fall out of this stuff. Like, what is he looking for in the bantha? Like, it's the Death Star plan. We found them.
And then after that, when Lumpy gets back to his room and finds the stuff, well, first the evil Nazi guy tells Lumpy, "Go clean up your room," like in a really kind of like,
Oh, the worst.
but then Lumpy finds the stuffed bantha, and he's really sad about it, and he tries to put the head back on and puts a blanket over it. And when he puts the blanket over it, I just kept in my head, I was thinking, what if then the stuffed bantha becomes Lumpy's Obi-Wan? So the stuffed bantha ghost is just following him around for the rest of Lumpy's life, and Lumpy's got later on he's having an adventure and he's like, oh no, what do I do? And then there's just hug me, cuddle me. There's just this ghost stuffed animal following him
Did you
around.
watch this while you were on the cold medicine?
I did. NyQuil. Thank you.
That might have helped.
So Lumpy goes to fix his room, to clean up his room,
Right.
and
And he finds instructions.
It's so disturbing. I can't. It's not even half as disturbing as Itchy. It's not even close, but alone. Look at the eyes. God.
in order of disturbance, Mala is the least disturbing, Lumpy, and then Itchy.
Right.
Yeah.
Itchy is horrifying.
That's
How about
fair.
Chewbacca? Chewbacca is actually the least.
Yeah.
Least
He's not on.
terrifying.
We don't have to look at him.
Yeah.
We don't get to look at him that much. We have to look at them for
Yeah.
days.
What do you think the Wookiee house smells like? Does it smell like a zoo?
And it's Lumpy's hair looks. It's got a sheen.
Silky.
It looks clean.
He uses
they take.
Pantene.
Yeah. It's
Now wait.
Prel.
What does the Wookiee house set smell like? Probably at the end of a day of filming, when you've got these, 4 or 5 people running around in costumes made entirely out of human hair. They used human hair, and
Just
thall
cigarettes and
they're
sweat.
sweating, and just
because you know that Lumpy was smoking butts between.
oh yeah.
God, I want to see those set pics.
Picture me in that little foreign little person they use on The Simpsons, that
Right.
Romanian character they sometimes use. So Lumpy goes to fix his broken machine, and
Well, this is what Sondan brought him. His present from Sondan was a transmitter, which comes with instructions featuring
Oh, man.
Harvey Corman.
he's like the tech support video for this device, which mimics human speech, I guess.
Did they not have ability to edit video then?
Clearly not.
Because he's aggressively unfunny, and he's funny.
It's weird. It's a weird.
It goes on like everything. It just that's the note I kept having over. Why is this still going? Why won't they end this?
I kept wondering what his direction was. What did they coach him to do? I don't even understand. Just mess up. Just don't. It didn't make any sense.
I think his direction was, all right, we need to fill 5 more minutes before the next scene. Can you just, here's a computer, do something?
Yeah.
Slow down during some of it. Kind of.
Pretend you're running out of batteries, but you're a person. What would that be like?
In my notes I have that Mike Myers would be this character now. Mike Myers would be
The robot instructions or all the Harvey Corman?
Yeah, all the Harvey Corman
Oh,
would be
okay,
Mike
yeah.
Myers. Yeah, so, thank you.
I think
Someone agrees with me.
I think Art Carney would have been Paul Giamatti.
Oh, I
Wow.
love the idea of it.
Great.
That's a different show
Like
altogether.
that, you'd
though.
watch it though right away.
Yeah.
I'd watch that again
Yeah.
because not much else could make you do that.
I was about to break out a Paul Giamatti imitation with no idea if I can do a Paul Giamatti imitation.
This is a perfect place for that.
What if?
I brought you some presents, Mal. Terrible. Terrible.
That's good.
Not bad.
Balls on this guy.
Anywho, so Harvey Corman is teaching him how to is in kind of Max Headroom style stuttering and slowing down and
Right.
all sorts of things. So why would the company use such a person in their tech support videos?
Well, back then employment was a lot more guaranteed, so he was,
Somebody had to do it.
yeah. Back then.
I guess it's like an equal opportunity thing. I'm like, well, this guy has this weird, this race of people have this weird kind of affectation, but
That they were, yeah.
we just got to give them a.
They were favored for that role. That was just a trend then.
Yeah, or Carney just gave him a really crappy present. So anywho,
That's the same face I was making when I watched it.
the action is interrupted by a live broadcast, which is recommended viewing of life on Tatooine. That's next, right?
Yeah, it's like in the middle of doing everything. All of a sudden, the wall screen.
Across the entire empire, everyone has to stop.
Everyone has to
watch.
stop what they're doing and watch what people on Tatooine are doing.
Yeah.
Because it'll make you better. It'll make you a better citizen.
Technically, they say it is brought to viewers everywhere in the hope that our own lives may be uplifted by the comparison and enriched with the gratitude of relief. Which I don't think is actually that's
Right.
computer language.
Well, it's like
That's
you
how
have
George
to
Lucas
watch
talks.
this. Yeah, exactly. It's required viewing so you can be glad that you're not them.
This is a good line. His neck gets bigger. George Lucas has a large neck.
Yeah, so we're on. We cut to life on Tatooine. We see some unused stock footage of Tatooine, and then we have our old friends, the Bith band.
They're almost our old friends, the Biff Band. There's something not quite right with them. Everybody in the Cantina, we see familiar versions of all of our old friends, but they're slightly off.
Is that just the video? Or-
Yeah, it could be video lighting. Could be.
Wait,
just
I'm not sure they had lights. They had some lights, it appeared.
They just had the one on top of the camera.
Move it around. There we go.
Yeah, we see Greedo.
No.
No.
I mean Ludlow.
Ludlow.
Sorry, but really it's Greedo. And
The squirrel.
That's racist.
Well, there's our friend Muftak, or is that Cabe? And that's Muftak.
That is Muftak.
And we see the bartender. The bartender B. Arthur.
Sad Sack Maud.
Fresh off her star turn on Maude and
Really?
pre-Golden Girls.
Really popular at this time. I mean, that was a big show, right?
It was B. Arthur mania
This
at
is
the time.
It's baffling.
Yeah. Well, Star Wars was big. Everybody was like, I'm going to jump on that. And then look where it got them.
They clearly didn't see the script.
No.
That's assuming a lot.
Do you think they thought did B. Arthur get a lot of money for this or?
It's
Think
network
so?
appearance on a Sunday. I mean, yeah.
I guess
Probably.
That was when network money was network money.
And I guess it was very popular at
Yeah.
the time, so they assumed it would be big.
And
big
most of them were theater based. Like most of them were theater trained, so this would be kind of like a theater type gig.
This was going to be the thing that brought her back to the forefront of youth culture. This will do it. Now that I've brought women to the forefront of sitcoms and tackled issues, the next generation will be mine as well.
It's hard to imagine a Star Wars vehicle now utilizing so many old people. You know what I mean? Like Art Carney beat Arthur. Who did they think was why? I mean, I guess it was a variety show. You had to have stuff that was going to appeal to the kids, to the creepy old men.
There were
to
3 channels, man.
I know. So
Plus, that's how you let your parents let you watch it because they're like, oh, maybe I'll stick around for Art Carney.
That's the weird thing about this. I noticed if they didn't try to make it all ages by making it middle of the road, they made it all ages by having stuff for kids and stuff for adults, and then some stuff for kids, and then some stuff that only adults will get, which is creepy because then you end up watching the sexy lady earlier, but then also these weird skits like who cares about B. Arthur who's 8 years old?
it's true.
It doesn't seem like a pleasant place to go have a drink. She's complaining the whole time, interrupting people.
I actually liked her kind of sassy, kind of like wise ass wise but kind of approach to, she has some good snappy dialogue about people not drinking. Yeah, rump. Wise rump. So call back to the previous episode.
Thanks, Joe.
And so one of her customers that she's serving is, of course, because it's been 5 minutes, Harvey Corman. In yet another role He plays Krellman, who's the bar customer who can drink through his head. And not the front of his head, the top of his head.
That's legitimately funny.
Everyone drinks through their head, yeah. Well, most people.
This is a very unusual Harvey Corman character because he drinks from his head, but also because he's very kind of like dumb and like kind of like Harvey Corman I always associate with playing kind of more brusque kind of, this is also the peak of Harvey Corman mania because he was still...
Cormania.
Who can forget Cormania?
Was he on the Carol Burnett show?
It was 1978. Cormania was in the air everywhere. I drank through the top of my head.
He was the one who always laughed. That was his. But I totally forgot to say. Someone else say something.
Cormania,
right. He must have been either still on the Carol Burnett show or it must have been somewhere around that time where people would have known who Harvey Corman was.
Hedley. Sorry, I just can't.
Count de Monet. That was my Harvey Corman reference.
He was in that made-for-TV Alice in Wonderland special that was like lasted forever as well, around the same, like in the early 80s.
Who did he play?
Alice.
Someone who talked about hay is all I really remember, but I remember it from when I was a kid. It was the same kind of thing. It was all of a sudden this dude who I remembered laughing a lot on the Carol Burnett show was suddenly in, maybe with a man made out of newspaper. I don't know, maybe I'm making that up.
I'm completely lost.
The thing about him, though, is he's a total creeper. This is the kind of guy who, like, if you're a bartender, number one, he ends up going behind the bar.
You're talking about Krellman, not Harvey Corman.
Oh,
okay.
I thought you were talking about Harvey Corman.
Oh, no.
Creeper. I was like, really?
He's a creeper. He's someone that you get a restraining order against.
Well, and plus,
that's not cool.
Like if this was made today, that it would be the dramatic music, and he'd be, it would be like a TV. Not a TV special. This is a TV special. What's the thing I'm looking for? After school special kind of thing where it's just,
he'd be Gordon Jump in different strokes.
But he's way kind of like aggressive and she tells him to go away and he's just totally, stocky and then...
he stepped behind the bar.
Yeah.
That's a big no-no.
And
Don't
I think
ever do that.
If this was made today, he would come back and shoot up the place afterwards.
Well, you also find out that the only reason he is in love with the Arthur is because... when she was saying, like, see you next time, and he was like, that must mean she wants me to come back and be in love with me. And
right.
There's no subtext in this world.
He's heartbroken when he finds out that she says that to everyone when they leave the bar. Yeah. So, poor Krellman.
I like how she's either taller or shorter than all of the aliens by a significant margin.
Right.
They're either very short aliens. I mean, she's a tall woman. But
right.
That's the only point I had on that.
Is this the same cantina as in Star Wars?
Officially, I think so.
So
that's definitive, right?
The other shift, the other bartender who hates droids,
right?
He's just not there at this moment.
But then there is a wall screen because there has to be wall screens everywhere. And here's that guy again. Here's that Imperial officer,
martial law guy,
Pinhead Bill Nye.
So wait, so now theoretically we are watching this from the Wookiee house, watching B. Arthur watch a screen, right?
Whoa! We are watching a screen, and on that screen, the Imperial officers and the Wookiees are watching a screen on which the people on Tatooine are watching a screen on which the Imperial officer is telling them that there's now a curfew on Tatooine and everybody has to go home.
Aww.
So, good night. Just kidding.
B. Arthur then proceeds to try to kick everyone out of the bar, and they're very adamant about not leaving, which makes me think the Empire really isn't that bad if everyone's just like,
yeah, what are they going to do? I'll
pull a knife on. That's the scum and villainy we heard about.
Right.
Yeah,
they don't have to go. It's not really that violent. They just won't go.
Yeah.
So instead, it turns into a song and dance number,
as will happen.
Remember that time that B. Arthur had a duet with a giant rat? That had nothing to do with the NyQuil. That actually happened.
I watched this yesterday, and I think I blocked it out.
The giant rat is apparently a prop from the movie Food of the Gods, in which a bunch of animals became giant.
Yeah,
in which gods eat rats.
Yeah, and that was released in 1976, so I guess they found this in a stock room and were like, sure.
Throw it in there, why not?
Even after Star Wars, the most successful movie ever at that point, they were still like, let's not make something original for it. Let's just, what's in that closet over there? It's a rat. He can sing with B. Arthur. Next.
She sings, she dances with what might be Walrus Man, because look, I mean, he does it, maybe he grew an arm back because he's got short sleeves.
Same jacket.
Same jacket, minus a sleeve, but there's an arm, so maybe that's what they do.
Or maybe it's a robotic one, like
Yeah.
the Skywalkers all have.
It makes that whole incident with Dr. Evazan seem less important, really. If they can just grow an arm back immediately.
Yeah, it was shocking, but then, it's over. It's fine.
This
It's cool.
really also shows you the power of editing and lighting in the original Star Wars, because the monsters all look cool in that one, and when they have these long lingering shots in this kind of soap opera lighting, they clearly are all just rubber masks, off the shelf. So there's that. And this dance with Walrus Man is terrible. It's just basically
Yeah, they're doing that. And then she dances with Greedo.
I don't like you either. I don't like you either. But she doesn't. She doesn't understand.
Without Dr. Evers in there to translate. She's like, I don't know what you're saying, but let's dance.
I miss that guy. He told everybody I didn't like them. He doesn't like anyone, but he keeps going to bars. It's the great hubris of Ponda Baba.
my favorite children's movie, The Grand Hubris of Ponda Baba.
Robin Williams was great in that.
Exactly. He doesn't like you.
That was like what you did with the Paul Giamatti thing earlier?
Yeah. Oh, wait, I wanted to go back to the Cantina for 1 second before we move on.
I can't back up.
Okay, so pretend you're still looking at the picture of the Cantina. The song, do we know the name of the song? Did anyone write that down? It's like, We'll Meet Again.
One more round.
Something like that.
Something like that.
What an impression. It made on us.
What I found interesting. Hello. Oh, there we go.
Just talk right into it.
At the very, when she's done with talking to Harvey Corman, he ends up just putting his head down on the bar with his hood down because he's all of a sudden not present for the next musical number. She goes all around the bar and gets everyone out, and you don't see him anymore. And then all of a sudden, at the end of it, when she turns around, he's the one person left there behind the bar by himself, holding that flower that he tried to give her before and she didn't want. Creeper. That's creepy. Don't do that. That's not cool.
She finds it touching.
Yeah.
That also reminded me, if he leaned down the bar and you could look into his head, what would you see?
You'd see out his butt.
His butt?
Right out of it.
It's just a tube.
He's like a human
So he
paper
pours
towel
it in,
roll.
it just goes right through.
Yeah. That's why they don't want him in there.
Right.
All right, I'm sorry I asked.
We're not going to serve him anymore.
So yeah, we're back in the having been enlightened about life on Tatooine. We are now back at the Wookiee house, where I guess the Empire's just kind of waiting for Chewbacca and Han to show up. Is that the deal?
Yeah, they were still kind of like searching the house and harassing people.
They're bored out of their minds on Kazook. I got mixed up between the two.
So then they get a signal that says, return to base, return to base, return to base. And look at the size of the antenna on the Imperial communicator is so big that I could not fit the entire thing into one screenshot. He takes it out of his pocket and takes the antenna out, and it's like a ribbon coming out of a clown's mouth. It just keeps going for forever.
The Kazook squad doesn't get the high-end stuff. They're even worse than the Death Star stormtroopers. They can't.
They get the realistic brand communicators.
Tandy.
I also think it's funny that Lumpy uses the machine to just say, return to base, and they're just like, okay, we're going. Like, what if they had said, okay, what's the problem? Return to base.
Stormtroopers are really good at following orders.
Right. What if Lumpy had just been like, okay, jump off the wall, jump off the platform. Like, everybody, dive off the balcony.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword when it comes to military...
Discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the word.
They're like lemmings. So the Imperials leave except for one guy who's left behind. In a house full of Wookiees, one stormtrooper is left to guard. And there's this ominous shot of the stormtrooper about to go into Lumpy's room. It just looks very...
he discovers that Lumpy is the one broadcasting the return to base thing, and he's about to...
I like the anti-establishment vibe this whole thing gives to kids. Like, yeah, kids, cops suck. That's basically what it's saying the entire time. They're going to come in, they're going to search through your things, tear the head off your favorite stuffed animal, and they're going to, it's great. Bravo, good job.
They wouldn't do that now. Now it would be all like, you did a good job for national security by reporting your father, Lumpy. You know. That would have been the lesson.
They are a fascist empire.
That's true.
Right.
So one stormtrooper left behind, and
He discovers Lumpy,
From a
chases
certain
Lumpy.
point of view. Sorry.
Chases Lumpy down the stairs out to the balcony.
very slow chase.
Yeah, it's like, I'm gonna
Everything
get
is
you. I'm gonna get you. You better run.
And plus, he has a gun.
Yeah,
So
I know.
why would he?
You can't see him
anyway.
Under his mask, just eyeing the director. Cut, please, cut. Oh.
And it looks like Lumpy's going to be killed. So,
But then, who shows up? Who shows up to save him? But Chewbacca.
he made it home in time for Life Day.
Yeah, Chewbacca shows up.
Round of applause for
Yeah.
Life Day.
Everybody loves Chewbacca.
Everyone's like, "Oh, this is almost over. Thank God."
Thank God a Wookiee that doesn't make me question my own life.
Oh, look, a character from Star Wars has shown up.
Oh, good. Another big hairy thing that doesn't speak English.
And he's not watching a screen. He's doing something.
But no one speaks. There's no, like, even now there's a stormtrooper engaging with two Wookiees, and he doesn't give them any orders.
No,
they just kind of
that's
stare each other down, and that's it. That's all that happens.
Yeah, he's.
You know how strange this sounded to my wife, who was in the other room while I was watching it? Because it's it's like 40 minutes of. What the hell is that? It's the stench. You come back for. Are you still watching?
All the dogs in the neighborhood are all barking.
Get knocks on the door.
Yeah, so Chewbacca shows up just in time to rescue his family. It's not just Chewbacca. We also have
Our friend Han Solo.
friend Han Solo.
And he does a similar kind of, he does this kind of trick again in Jedi. He like sneaks up behind the stormtrooper.
He's live.
Taps him on the
Yes.
back.
He doesn't tap him on the, he kind of distracts him, hits him, the gun falls to the ground, they both go for the gun, and the stormtrooper falls over the railing, which is made out of like wet cardboard at best, because the stormtrooper just kind of tumbles into it and the whole thing falls apart.
It's strong enough to hold up Lumpy walking on it. But not strong enough to stop someone who bumps into it.
There's a bit where, in a minute, where Lumpy jumps up and is it Han Solo? He gives him a big hug, and Lumpy looks very light in that instance.
That's
so
true. Maybe
perhaps
it's just a weight.
Wookiees are not dense. They're
They're fluffy.
they're 98% hair.
Well, there you go.
Chihuahuas under
There's just a tiny little skeleton
Yeah.
underneath there.
I want someone to spray Chewbacca with a hose, then he's just like, like one of those Persian cats.
Draw
You see them all. But also when the stormtrooper goes off the edge, he does the Wilhelm scream.
Yep.
Yes, it's a Wilhelm scream when he gets knocked over.
For those of you, some Wilhelm fans in the house. So
And they
tear for me.
bond. Han, when he picks up Lumpy, he calls him sweetheart, which is kind of. Apparently, this is because he kept forgetting that there was a woman inside the Lumpy costume, so he kept kind of crossing the gender. He kept.
He
saying,
wasn't
like,
forgetting. He was remembering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He forgot that he was supposed to be acting.
Yes.
Also,
your
again,
face, Harrison Ford.
further proof there may be no script.
Right.
None at all. There was a one piece of paper with bullet points, and it just said at the bottom 2 hours.
And pick up the Wookiee, say some stuff, and we go home.
It's such a
Shouldn't
shame.
have
It's
slept with
like
that Wookiee girl.
it's such a shame that it's like peak Han Solo time. Like this is like classic Han Solo looking, and it's wasted in this junk.
It's still more effort than he put into the narration of Blade Runner.
Or
Or
Indiana
any
Jones
movie,
4.
Yeah.
any movie since.
Yeah.
I don't know what your next bit is going to be, but there's
Probably Wookiee.
there's a Han there's a Han and Chewbacca hug that is the most uncomfortable thing.
There's a lot of uncomfortable.
There's a lot of it, but
I didn't get that one. I did get this one. This is 2 7-foot-tall men covered in hair expressing their love for each other.
They don't consummate that kiss though. They tease us.
well, because I
And I was
think
like,
it would have been too
and
long.
I'm
That
watching it.
way.
This is the most intent I've been watching the whole thing. I'm like, how are they going to technically do this? Their lips don't move, and they stick way out, and then
Yeah.
just they.
No, that's how Wookiees do. They just kind of look at each other intently for a little bit.
And it's a shame too, because if like Mala had put her arms up, it totally could have like faked like they were kissing. If
Right.
her arms would have been blocking where their mouths were connected.
Homophobia was a lot worse then.
Yeah.
I think that's what it.
Yeah. He was like, I'm not even fake kissing that big monkey man. I'm not doing it.
Then what happens? They all get some globes.
Some
They get
glass
some
globes.
glass crystal globes, which start to glow.
Well, so yeah, because now Life Day proper can begin.
Right, all the humans leave. Sondan showed up for briefly. He had to leave. Han Solo's like, I got to get back to the ship because it's hidden. And everybody leaves. It's just the Wookiees. They get out their holiday globes.
Han was really happy to see everybody, and then left immediately.
Yeah.
He
Well, he
put on
was-
one of the greatest social put-ons ever. Oh man, it's good. I gotta go. It's see you, sweetheart.
You guys are like family to me. I'm double parked.
It's like that relative I have who's always like, check here, I gotta go. No dessert for me, thanks. See you in a year.
Yeah, so Art Carney shows up. The humans all leave. They get out their globes, and
Once they get the globes out, then the weird stuff starts to happen.
yeah, then the weird stuff.
Then the weird stuff starts to happen.
Why robes when they don't wear clothing?
Yeah, all of a sudden they're all wearing ceremonial robes.
They're Orthodox. Zook.
They don't put them on. They hold up the globes, and all of a sudden robes appear, and the living room disappears, and they're in space.
I thought this was some sort of concession to TV censorship. What if in one of the acts we have them in robes? All right, they can be naked the rest of the
They
time.
can't be 100% naked. You have to have. And then
Get him off the screen. Sorry, Itchy.
Once they're all wearing robes, then they're walking through space towards some kind of giant light in the sky.
I think the ending is a lot like 2001, where you just kind of put whatever interpretation you want on what is going on in this particular scene.
Yeah.
They go on to form Jefferson Starship. It's a time lapse thing.
Psychedelic Wookiee heaven.
And so what's in Psychedelic Wookiee Heaven is a big tree,
And
and C-3PO and R2-D2 are there for some reason, even though...
They were left by all the other friends leaving as fast as possible. I gotta go get to the thing, and they wait for us.
Even though we clearly saw them in two different places moments ago, here they are together.
And C-3PO makes a comment that he wishes... This is one of those moments where he wishes... R2 and he wish they were human so that they could experience emotions.
Now, I wrote that down as being significant because this is the first time that they have acknowledged the fact that they are not sentient beings and we don't have emotions. And I don't know what he's been fretting about for all this time. If he doesn't have emotions, he's the most emotional. He's more emotional than most of my family. But now suddenly, I wish I had you were anxiety defined.
Do you think if there was a human living in a world of robots, the human would be like, I wish I didn't have these emotions so I could be more like you and experience life?
I think there's a lot of people like that.
Aw.
I didn't talk about you.
See, that was an emotion you had.
I can feel. Oh, yeah, so the Wookiees are at the Tree of Life with the robots.
Right, and then all of a sudden everybody else shows up. The whole gang is there. Even though Han Solo desperately had to get back to the ship, there he is again.
And,
He had to move it. It was alternate parking.
Oh, right.
and Luke wearing his Tatooine outfit.
Yeah, and there's something weird. This is totally a tangent, but we can handle it. That's not his real lightsaber. Somebody did this incredible research where they just zoomed in all the frames from this, and apparently they couldn't get the original prop lightsaber, so they made a new one. There's a holiday special only version of Luke's lightsaber out there somewhere.
Wow. Where can I buy a toy of it?
Probably online right now. Is that what you're looking at? No, you're looking at
I'm sure there's
I
an
have
expanded
notes. I'm not
universe.
just checking my
I'm
text.
sure there's an expanded universe story where they explain how he lost the lightsaber, he built a new one,
Right.
and then that one got lost, and so on. So,
And then Leia addresses the crowd of Wookiees.
why are humans involved in addressing the Wookiees on their holiday?
They're the
know what?
superior beings.
I guess
Over and over, this hierarchy that we're being reminded of.
all you walking carpets with your little holiday, it's so cute.
She is a princess.
That's
Why,
true.
why did Chewbacca have to get home in time for Life Day if they could all astral project to the same weird dimension of singing? And
I guess his globe was at home, so he
Right.
couldn't get to it unless he had to
Right.
pick up his globe.
good answer.
If he didn't get his globe, then none
Yeah.
of this would have happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bet he took it with him, so he didn't have to go back again.
He left his other robe on Yavin. You don't do it without the robe.
No,
So,
certainly not.
Yeah, Princess Leia addresses the crowd with a bunch of jibber jabber about peace and courage and freedom and
The promise of the tree of life.
whatever that is.
Post hippie BS is what that is. Addict.
And then she sings about it.
Why is Carrie Fisher singing? That's my note for this.
It's in all caps.
In all
All
caps.
caps.
Why is this happening?
She wasn't that bad.
She
I don't
wasn't.
think she wasn't that
No,
bad. She
She's
had all
not
the notes.
until there's one note there that's just
the
not
end.
the right note.
Yeah.
And for those of you who haven't heard it, she sings a song that goes to the tune of the Star Wars theme song, and it's not, it's
not
it's
Bill
not
Murray.
good.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to have words. Yeah.
No.
Other than the ones Bill.
Why is she singing?
Because
she
she's a
really-
variety show. Would you rather have B. Arthur come out again and sing?
Yeah, I think that would have
Yeah.
been great. And now, ladies and gentlemen, be Arthur. Oh. But she went all for it. You got to give her credit.
Yeah.
She didn't half-ass it.
Yeah.
She was hopped up on goofballs. So.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right.
So, and then we have a scene where Chewbacca in the Life Day ceremony looks back over his greatest hits, kind of. Remember when that scene where I was playing chess and I played against R2-D2 and...
Yeah, it's a total recap of Star Wars, but just the stuff that Chewbacca was in.
Now is that and at a certain point the music kicks in from the end, from the medal ceremony into the credits.
Right.
Now, is that happening during that? And does that remind him that he was snubbed?
Well, I was going to say, it ends right before... You don't see the medal ceremony.
Yeah.
It doesn't get to that part.
Oh, I was going to mention this when they had the cartoon bit. There's this book that I totally stole from the library of my hometown. I'm sorry. That was
Please, officer,
the,
please come.
the mystery of the rebellious robot, and it had illustrations that were really similar to that. And in the end of that book, Chewbacca finally gets his medal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that canon?
I don't know, but the illustration is great, and it looks very similar to the animation.
The same...
And he gets a medal.
for killing the rebellious robot.
I don't remember the story. It was, I don't know, R2-D2 had an issue. He went off on one
Always.
of those adventures that he does.
That's the only thing I thought. The music kicked up, and I just thought he's not getting a medal.
Yeah.
All this, it's
He's remembering that. He's
it's funny that
why
maybe-
did I invite these people over for Life Day if they didn't give me a medal?
look at his face.
Yeah,
It should
that's
end
it.
just on that and like, dun, you know.
It almost feels like this was some sort of bad attempt at making up for that by George
Right.
Lucas. Well,
You
he
think
didn't
so?
get the medal. Let's do a 2-hour, and it just was a disaster.
Can't win.
And had Chewbacca been real, he still would be upset.
So yeah, that's kind of the end, right?
Yeah, then they just have dinner. Somehow they're back from their magical, weird space trip.
Robes away.
Robes away, globes on the table. They eat dinner.
Wookiees don't talk when they're happy. They just stare at each other creepily
Yeah. They all just, well, that was,
in
you know,
silence.
Chewie and Mala hugging before was just kind of like, let's look each other in the face for a little
And
bit.
they were just looking at them. It was
Yeah.
kind of like they're just fine watching each other.
Well, I think there's an elaborate backstory to that, where Mala can't be happy that Chewbacca is off gallivanting around with the rebellion when he's got a family. You know what I mean? So I'm sure she's like, oh, well, so you're going to leave again because you have this life debt? And he's like, come on, get off my back.
He'll be dead in 20 years. We'll be
Do
fine.
you know what your father does in the living room while you're gone? Our son is here. He's going to grow up with that as his role model?
Diane Cannon and Art Carney are his role models. And yeah, that's
And
the
that's
end.
it. That's
So,
it. That's the whole Star Wars holiday special.
So,
yeah.
all right. So we'll see everyone next year for the Empire Strikes Back minute.
Yes. Starting January 13th, I think.
Yeah. And thanks everyone for coming to the very special Star Wars Minute, Star Wars Holiday Special Live. Yay! Woo!
We celebrate a day of peace, a day of harmony, a day of joy we all can share together joyously, a day that takes us through the darkness, a day that leads us into to lie.